Howdy everyone, this is Omar, your audio amigo, here today with another episode of Thrifty Tunes. So today we're going to be looking at the follow-up to the highly regarded Truthear Hola. This is the Truthear Gate, or Gato, depending on how you look at things. So, after a long period of absence, Truthear returns to the sub $25 space with the Gate. And it has some pretty big shoes to fill. So, the original Hola was one of the most recommended IEMs while it was available. It had this slightly warm, neutral sound signature that made it kind of unique in the price range. It was a bit of a Goldilocks option between like the more bass-heavy stuff and the more neutral stuff. Unfortunately, due to what I'm going to assume are production cost overruns, the Hola immediately sold out and became unobtainium, sort of. So, can the Gate come along and fill the hole that it left in our hearts? We'll see. So we'll go ahead and start with what's in the box. On the box, you've got Shidoi, that's Truthear's mascot. She's looking real nice with her sword there. Truthear always has really good box art. But inside you get the IEMs, and they come already attached to the cable in the box, which I think is really good in the budget segment because people who are new to IEMs don't always know how to attach the cables the right way. They'll end up wearing them backwards, and I think that's really nice. So you get the really nice cable. You get 7 sets of ear tips. You get 4 sizes of wide bore, extra large, large, medium, which are on there, small. And then you get 3 sizes of the narrow bore, so small, medium, and large. You also get this little squeeze pouch with the Truthear branding on it. It doesn't have the logo, but at least it's got Truthear written on it. It's basically the exact same accessories package that you got with the Hola, minus the plastic holder for the ear tips. These came in little plastic baggies. But for $19, this is a fantastic accessories package, and I can't think of another IEM at this price point that gives you a pouch. And this is a pretty decent one too. Perfectly fits in a pocket, would go well in a purse. But let's go ahead and talk about the cable first. This is awesome. Everyone talked about the cable on the Hola being amazing, and this is also an amazing cable. I'm going to go ahead and say that I think this is the nicest cable that you can get with an IEM under $25. You've got a right-angled 3.5 on one end. You've got this 2-wire braid. It's rubberized, but it doesn't feel overly rubbery. It actually feels real nice against the skin. You've got a branded Y-split with a very functional chin slider. And then on the other end, you've got your standard 2-pin termination that fits on anything. I know some people with bigger IEM collections that are buying these just for the cable, particularly the white version, which comes with a really nice white cable, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. So, build quality. These feel sort of hollow. So, fun fact, these are the lightest non-bullet IEMs in my collection. The nozzle has sort of a black mesh filter on it. You can see there. You've got 2 breathing holes. You've got one right there next to the nozzle and one over here next to the side. It's kind of like an oval shape. You can see that there. So you've got the see-through top plate. This shell is ABS injection molded. It's got a polycarbonate top. So these came out at the end of May 2024. As of writing of this video, I can't find a lot of reports of durability issues on these. I think part of the reason for that is if you look at this one over here, the connector is recessed into the shell, so that helps make the connector a bit sturdier. But I don't know, they just feel a bit insubstantial in the hand. I would treat these a little more gingerly if they were my daily drivers, just to make sure that they lasted me as long as possible. So overall, big downgrade over the Hola, which had 3D printed resin shells to go to ABS and polycarb. But I don't see anything wrong with the build quality. It's just sort of a downgrade compared to the Hola. So, you know the drill. Specifications on the screen. These are a single 10mm dynamic LCP membrane. They're slightly smaller than what was in the Hola. I think the Hola was an 11mm. But like most entry-level IEMs, these are very sensitive and low impedance, so no need for an amp. As I said earlier, they're super light. They don't have enormous nozzles. It bodes well for comfort. There's really nothing wrong with the specs here, nothing stand out. These are just your standard budget IEMs, nothing really special. So let's go ahead and do the cool wall. I think these have a pretty understated design. I like that you can see into the shells and see where the Truthear branding has been added onto the back of the driver. I think that's pretty cool. I like that you can see the wiring and the structure of the connector. That's probably just the 90s kid in me talking, but see-through electronics are always cool as far as I'm concerned. And even though this doesn't have much to look at, it still has that, 90s see-through electronic look. The white ones look super clean with that white cable, but I didn't go for those because I feel like the white cable will just gather dirt and grime like all of Apple's cables do. So I think in the long run, the black cable will be the better choice. Even though there's not much to look at, like I said, 90s kid in me, nice cable. I'm going to have to put these in cool just because, they look really nice. You can see absolutely everything. They're not hiding anything, and I think that that's a good thing. Let's see what the ladies think about see-through electronics. So, all right. Looks like clear plastic is in. So, I will say that 3 of my 5 ladies are 90s kids. So, maybe there's a bit of bias going on there. Looks like nobody would compliment them, though, on a friend. But black absolutely sweeps the color category. It's pretty popular. I'm thinking they also think that the white cables would get dirty and affect things. But here's some of their thoughts. Standard looking, see-through is neat. There's a 90s children. From a distance, they would look normal. So it's only up close that they think that you would appreciate the see-through nature. So moving on, we'll go to comfort. These shells don't really have any issues with me. The shape lets me get a good seal. There's no pressure on any parts of my ear. The shells are super lightweight. They're small. These are easy all-day comfort IEMs. Did a few longer Euro truck sessions with these. No issues at all. As far as my wife's tiny ears test, these passed with flying colors. No seal issues. The nozzle isn't overly huge. She wore them for an entire workday, no problems, didn't fall out, maintained the seal. Tiny ears test, easy pass on these. No fitment problems for my wife. All right, let's get into how these sound, the most important thing. So, bass. Probably the weakest part of this set, but it's not bad. The sub-bass extension is there. You'll hear low-frequency drops like in Tiesto's Split collab with the Chainsmokers. They're there, they just don't slam and thump like you might want them to. It sounds correct. The bass isn't overly boosted. It's not as prominent as I would like, but like I said, not bad. Bass guitars sound good. The signature bass line and Roundabout by Yes is present. It's clear. A tiny bit pushed back in the mix for my tastes, but again, I like warmer sounding things. So sum up, bass correct, clean, lacking a bit of punch and excitement. Not bad overall. However, for the mids, because the mid bass isn't boosted to high heaven, the mids are super clean, well represented. Bass, guitars, piano, vocals, all of that stuff going on in Santana's Corazón Espinado with Maná. All the instruments sound distinct, proper. There's a lot going on, especially in some of the choruses, and it's all living in the mid-range. The fact that you can separate the instruments out is a really good showing for this set. Moving on to female vocals, the party keeps on going, just like with the male vocals from Maná. Machiko's Tomorrow. She comes off powerful, clear, no huskiness from the mid bass, no nasal shrillness from the treble. This is a good set for vocals and musicality. The mids are not colored, they're clean, proper, very, very good here. Moving on to upper mids and treble. The upper harmonics of female vocals aren't unnaturally extended or tonally awkward. Connie Francis's classic Guaglione. This set gives her voice the proper sort of edge and the falling echo that adds the melodic characteristics to her voice. Cymbals, hi-hats, bells, they're not overly washy. They decay sort of naturally. Very good dynamics in terms of stick strikes, good texture to percussion overall. Eric Kretz's drums in Stone Temple Pilots Plush, if you can pull your attention away from Scott Weiland's iconic vocals for a moment, there's a lot of complex and dynamic cymbal work being done. And in this set, you can appreciate it in all the right ways. It's not super shouty. It's not too emphasized. Some people like a little more cymbal, treble emphasis. This is, I would say, in sort of the Goldilocks zone. Not overdone, not downplayed. at least for my ears, this is pretty Goldilocks treble. Maybe a little bit more, but overall I think it's good. They might be a tiny bit fatiguing for some people. People who don't like that maybe might want to steer clear from these, but for me, like I said, Goldilocks treble. Moving on to low-end details and other technicalities. Scott LaFaro's bass has the proper texture in Waltz for Debbie. There's moments where the string will ring and it sounds beautiful. At lower volumes, those types of things get a bit difficult to pick out. You lose some of the finger definition. It's not as clear as it should be, in my opinion. But on the high end, the details are really good. You get your finger slides, your nail noises on some strings. Great example of this, the Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson live duet of Folsom Prison Blues. They've got the mics right by the guitars. You get lots of finger detail in that song. This set doesn't hide it or overblow it. I think it's very well done. As far as stereo separation goes, these are pretty good. They pass my Mediterranean Sundance test. You've got both guitarists sounding separated enough with enough room to breathe. They aren't the widest sounding things at this, but at this price range, I think they're fine. The 3D Soundstage, I didn't hear anything particularly special in the sort of front and back department. Art Blakey's version of G Baby Ain't I Good to You has the horns coming from slightly behind the drums in the left ear, as far as I'm concerned, but nothing too spectacular. I'd say it's about average for IEMs, so overall not bad. Alright, so all that being said, time to move on to some comparisons. So first we'll start with the Hola. I would describe these as neutral bright. The Hola, from everything I've heard, is neutral warm. And that's fine. But if you were looking for an Hola replacement, if you're looking for the return of the Hola, this is not it. These are a different tuning. They were going for something different here. And it's a tuning that, in my opinion, has some competition in the sort of neutral to bright area. First one I've got here for you is the 7 Hz Sound Notes Zero. I've got the nice Mecha colorway. So these have even less bass impact than the Gate, but to my ears they have a little bit more top-end detail and sparkle. They're very similar overall. I prefer the shells on the Zero. They feel a bit more solid, and I like the metallic finish on the top plate. They feel more solid in the hands. But this cable is, I'm going to say, famously bad. So in terms of cable, the Gate 100% win. Also, at MSRP, the Zero is a few dollars more expensive and doesn't come with a pouch. So that's something to consider. The newer boys, we've got the Simgot EW100P, or the Shark as I like to call them. These are the sparkliest of the three. These have the most top-end treble detail. The bass presentation on them is similar to the Gate, but with a bit less of a sub-bass presence. As I said, these are a more top-end detail-focused set. These can be fatiguing to people as a result. The shells are also what I would describe as sort of low rent. They're very light. They're all sort of cheap plastic. They're extremely lightweight, and they've just got that sort of stick-on metal branding stuck on them. The cable on these is pretty nice. It's just not as nice as the one in the Gate, and it also doesn't come with a pouch. So I think all three of these can exist in sort of their own niches. So the Zero are for people looking for something closer to neutral without the slightly boosted bass, neutral treble presentation here. The EW100P I think are fantastic for people who are looking to get into that harmonish Simgot house sound and that sparkly treble that they're so well known for. And as far as this is my first IEM, I like a brighter, neutral to bright sound. I think that the Gate are the most complete package in terms of cable quality, accessories, and they're also the most subdued of the three. So if you're maybe slightly treble sensitive and want to try out a neutral, bright-ish sounding IEM, you should maybe look into the Gate. So let me get these out of the way, and we'll go ahead and put these on the Audio Amigo Arbitrary rating scale. So straight off the bat, if you were hoping for an Hola replacement, like I said, these are not it. These have a different signature, and it makes me feel like Truthear maybe missed a little bit of a trick. Like, if these two already existed, why would you tune this to be sort of, in terms of treble anyway, a slightly weaker version of these two? I feel like it's a more competitive area, and the warm to neutral tuning is a bit more of a rarity at this price range. You usually get a bunch of V-shaped stuff and neutral things. But that being said, I don't think it's fair to judge it on not living up to its brother. And even compared to the other two, I still think the Gate's a good IEM. For my ranking list, I consider everything that comes in the box, especially at this lower price range, because people who are going to be looking to buy this are going to buy just the one IEM and run it as their daily driver for a long while before they feel like maybe they need to upgrade or maybe they want to try something different. So the fact that it comes with the pouch and a cable that, in my opinion, is nice enough that if you buy something more expensive that comes with a worse cable, you can just take the cable with you. That is going to move it from the good tier, where it would have been if it had maybe a worse cable in a pouch, up into the but I like this tier. I feel like it does compete with the other two. It has, like I said, sort of a niche. If these two are too bright for you, but you don't want that V-shaped or true neutral with the with the boosted bass, these are a decent option. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't surpass the other two in sound quality, but if the shells were a little nicer, maybe it would be a straight up win. But yeah, if these had like a resin shell, a molded resin shell instead of the ABS injection molding, I think these could have ended up in brilliant if they just felt nicer in the hands. But I think but I like this is where these belong. So, do I recommend this set? Yeah. As I said, competes with the other two. Best cable, best accessories, low rent shells, sure. I would recommend this most for people who are looking to get their first IEM and are maybe a little bit treble sensitive, but want to try the brighter sound signature, want to see maybe kind of what it's like. I think this would be a really good starting point for that type of person. Or if you already have a darker sounding or V-shaped IEM and you want to try neutral to bright, worst case scenario, you don't like these, you keep the cable and throw it on your preferred IEM. It's a pretty decent all-rounder. For my library and my taste, I wish I had a bit more of that bass impact, but this is a good starter IEM for people who maybe have a very varied library and want something a little leaner on the bass, who don't like that thumpy sound. Not for people who want a warm sound or love their bass, but as I said, they've got a lot of other options in this price bracket. That wraps it up for this one. I hope you all enjoyed the video. As always, if there's an IEM you guys would like to see get the Thrifty Tunes treatment, let me know down in the comments. I really appreciate all your support. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Omar with Audio Amigo Reviews, and I will catch y'all next time.